The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
One more Om for everybody. Oh. I think the degree rising is good. It's a man making a futurist drawing. So I think, well, I'd like to welcome everybody to our Morya Federation Day, or several hours anyway. Let's see, where's Ariel? Can somebody make sure that, Michael, that this is on? Can someone hit the red button here? Is it on? Okay, very good. All right, so we're going to be here till at least 6:30, and then there'll be dinner, and then maybe we won't come back. You know, if you're really good, we might not come back. Okay, and you get the chance to prepare for tomorrow. So today, I'd like to tell you what I hope we can perhaps accomplish. Let's see here. We're going to have some meditation, of course. And this is the schedule. Commentary and, okay. No, this is, okay. For some reason, the thing that I have as schedule is not showing up. But okay. Meditation, commentary, enrollment stats, Federation Day schedule. And let's see if I can get into, okay, see if I can get into that. Okay. Yeah, but not yet. Okay, just you will see in just a minute because I'm going to welcome everybody, right? Okay. Okay, inaugural meditation, and for some reason, my schedule is not here. All right. Well, then I'll just have to wing it. Ah, this is it. Yes. We'll have some discussion of. We'll have meditation. We'll have some mantras. We'll have a discussion. We'll have a report from BL and a report from K about who's studying what. We'll talk about our translation program, which is expanding. We'll assess our progress. We will have readings, a little bit of reading from the section on the new esoteric schools. It's a big commentary, and I'd actually like to begin holding some webinars on that section, which begins around page 200 in Letters on Occult Meditation and is very important. So we need to know what we're really looking forward to. And then, so we'll have a little bit of reading. There's 160 pages of it, so we're not going to do it all today. And then, let's see if there's anything else here that we're going to be doing. Okay, looks like we're not going to go beyond that. But we'll see what comes up, okay? Now, in terms of who's here, I just want to, let's see, is anybody going to man that camera? Because it can't just be pointed at me, okay? I know I'm very interesting, but not all that interesting, okay? So anyway, I just want to welcome Susan and Frida, and Dorothy's behind the pillar there, but that's okay, don't have to move it. She'll remain incognito for a little bit. Okay, and Elena is right over here. Yes, and BL, and Francis is here, and Michael is here at this table, and Sheldon and Helena and Karen are behind the pillar, but okay, as Samson said to those in the temple, okay, behind the pillar. All right, welcome everybody. And we have Bob and Michael and John helping us with all of the technical things. So if anything happens, you know who to go to. And here are the people who are here. There's 14 of us. And just want to say hi to, Daisy. Okay, hi from Vietnam. Daisy, do you hear us? Can you speak into your microphone? Do you hear us? Okay. Well, anyway, welcome to you. And Diana Bolbachan from Venezuela. Hello, Diana. Can you say anything? Hello, Bob?
Hi everybody. Hi everybody.
That's
From
nice. All the way
Venezuela.
from Venezuela. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Glad you're with us. And Eva from Toronto, and she would be here with us, but few things happened, but she's here in presence. Eva?
Hi, everybody. Again, I'm so sorry not to be with you. You can't imagine how much I miss this. But
Well,
I know you're all in good hands.
Well, here's the thing. How many of us have had Master DK walk in the door and sit down for a chat, and yet he's with us. So Eva is with us in a very real way. Thank you, Eva, and welcome Jeff. Hey, from New Zealand, Jeffrey.
Hi, Michael. Hi, everybody. Great to be here.
Okay, so glad you're here. And let's see, I'm going to go next here. Jocelyn, you are in Toronto, I think. Hello, Jocelyn. Are you there? Okay, maybe without Mike. I'm not sure, but anyway, welcome, Jocelyn. Glad you're here. And maybe, we'll get that mic situation worked up. Bob, whoever speaks should be heard. Is that correct at this point? Okay, and Lam Kiet is here from Vietnam. Lam Kiet, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. And welcome to you. He's done such fantastic work. We're so glad you're here with us. So, all right, very happy about that. Thank you. And Leah from Australia, let's get her unmuted here. Hold on just one second. And yes, hi, Leah. Hi.
Good morning, everyone. I'd love to be there too.
Yeah, well, we'd love to have you here, and you are here. But
In
it's amazing,
spirit.
isn't it, when that voice comes in, as if they're in the room? Fantastic. Okay. All righty. And so welcome, Leah. And Lona from Denmark. And good evening. Are you there, Lona?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm
Okay.
here.
It's a few hours later, 9 hours. Okay. Hi, Lona.
Yes,
Thank you. Glad you're here. Okay. Thank you. And Lorraine. Hello. Wait a second. There, Lorraine.
Hi, Michael. Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
Okay, so glad you're here. And Nicole from Melbourne. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, everyone.
Wow,
I'm so glad to be amongst all of you in spirit, but unfortunately can't be there in physical presence. But that's good enough.
Yeah, I think there's something about omnipresence going on here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
In our current world. Welcome to you, Nicole. So glad you're here. And Renee. Hi, Renee.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm very glad to be with you too.
Yes, I'm very glad to be with you too. Are you coming to the conference at some point?
Yes, I will be there next week.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so glad you're here. Thank you so much. And let's see, Sam. Okay, hey Sam.
Hello to all.
Okay, Sam. So glad to see you here. Welcome. And Tanya in Brazil, I think. Tanya? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed.
Well, I'm very, very happy to be with you all. It's quite a great opportunity. I miss everybody, and I send everyone all the love from our Brazilian students. Thank you
so much. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, welcome. And Victor? Hello, Victor.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be with you.
Thank you, Victor. I'm glad you're here too. From the Midwest. What state is it, Victor? Again?
Southeastern Ohio.
Okay. It's going to be an important state in the upcoming election. Okay. Welcome, Victor. All right. Well, and here we have Joe. You want to say hi, Joe?
Hi, everyone. Great to have everybody.
We're pretty good. And glad you're here. And Kay, I think, said a few words, and Kay is in Australia. Hello, Kay.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Wonderful to be with you.
Yes, it's great to be with you too. Excellent. Thanks so much for being here. And Michael's right here. So, you know, you can say hello too. Yeah, yeah, all right. All righty. And Victoria, you here? Goodness. Are you here, Victoria?
I believe I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, wow, what an occasion. Glad
I
you're
know.
here.
Hello, everyone.
This is an occasion, Victoria. Okay,
Yes.
welcome to you. Welcome to you. All right, everybody, that's it, and that's who we are at the moment. Well, you know, it's always a little difficult to know. There's so much to do, and at these days, we really have to stay in touch with each other, you know, during the year, and we do. But we have a lot of promising developments, especially with the new language expansions and the new groups coming in. You know, we have these two wonderful groups in Vietnam and in Brazil already established, and now Renee and Wendy have seen to it. There are many, many students in Canada, mostly, I think, speaking French. And so we have a very strong French group, and translation is going on in all of those areas. What else, BL? Let's see.
Can you?
We'll get into the specifics.
Okay. We just opened up the Spanish
Spanish group
program with Diana
Yes.
Bobochan doing the translations, and she's also acting as a mentor. And then we have Susanna Ackle. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I'm
we'll get
probably
it right
doing the
before
name
long.
wrong. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we have two people, two brand new students. None of them have done a report yet because we just opened them up. But we have two mentors and two students in our Spanish program. We also have some Italian translations going on. So
Wonderful. Okay. Well, we can expand that. You know, the Russians are coming, and you know, Finland is on the list, and and so you know, this is yeah. Go ahead.
in all of Tuia's spare time, the Finnish will get done, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But there are other Finns too, you know, and
I'm sorry. How's your Finnish? Is it good enough to?
Yes, my Finnish has. I figure at learning 2 words a year, I'll get there. You know. All right. You know. Kiitos. You know. That means thank you. All right. I know a lot of other words too that are spoken to me in moments of duress. But I'll spare you. You know. All right. All right, so I think the first thing we're going to do is to have our great invocation. But first I'd like to get set up here so I can sit down to meditate. All I have to move my computer here without disrupting all the business. Yeah, okay. Okay, good. There's a table. And this is the rocket science part of it all. All right. All right. You know, I always trouble myself more over what's going to go on in the Morya Federation Day than anything else. It's the big enigma, you know. That's because of who we're working with, of course. Right. All right. So, you know, I want us somehow more and more, let's get this straight. Thank you. Yeah. I want us really to be aware of what Master DK is planning for the new esoteric schools of the future. I know he says, you know, when he wrote, they are in no way approachable at this time. And yet at other times, he seemed to say, hey, the beginning is already being made in various places, even with the esoteric section of the Theosophical Society. So we cannot fulfill, again, he repeats in Letters on Occult Meditation, or rather in Raised Initiations, how far into the future they really lie. And obviously, the hierarchy has to have externalized before we can have the real thing. But I figure within 100 years, at the beginning of the Aquarian Age, that those gatherings of masters in the 5 planetary centers will be somewhat accomplished. And, you know, before long, whether it's a century or two, the Christ will be with us in physical manifestation. A lot of things have to occur first, but the Aquarian Age is not yet with us. You know, he gave us the year 2117. Again, Venus transits across the sun at that time. So it's not so far away. And I have a feeling that if we turn our consciousness towards what he has planned, even though he may, you know, adapt it, you know, in some manner, it will help us move ahead with our work in the Morya Federation per se. And we all know why it's called Morya Federation, you know, because in a way, he's the head of all esoteric schools and organizations. And that's quite a thing, you know, the mystery of the first ray lies at the heart of all of it. So, you know, it's a little maybe presumptuous to call it the Morya Federation, but it's a high ideal and it gives us something to really look up for. So up to, instead of sort of, you know, like grinding on, we keep that high ideal in our minds. And actually, you know, the people here have the pleasure of seeing my face as it's talking. So I just want to share that with more people, if I can do that. I mean, really, you know, I mean, it's really somehow important. Okay, there, we've shared. I'm going to go into something else here in just a minute. So we will have a kind of an opening meditation, and yes, hi everybody. They say life begins at 80, you know, so I have a friend over here who's probably with me looking forward to it. All right. So our first meditation, and we'll pause for reflection as we go. Will be whatever it will be. Okay, and inaugural meditation, there we go. You're familiar with this because we do it every year. And it does give the idea of where things are happening. Now, I don't think that the timing of all of this is really up to us so very much. But the harder we work and the more in a more concentrated manner that we work, the closer we will come to being able to externalize all this. It'll probably be more or less in our next incarnation or two that real beginnings of the real schools advised by the real masters will happen. But we'll prove our faithfulness and our usability by what we do now. You know how it is. They do look in, not only once every 1,000 years or every 300, but, you know, you might, you know, maybe every century now, you know, or something, every 25 years. So someone's eye is on you. You can be sure of that. And, you know, having probably passed through the stage of Chela in the light, and looking forward to accepted discipleship, not only as individuals, but as a group. That's what we're looking forward to. Okay. So let us begin with our meditation. And I may, you know, adapt this, and so don't get fixated on what's on the screen, but that will also help the people who are out there, the members of the faculty and administration who are out there, and we can meditate together. So we will begin by establishing the poise and comfort. And the quietness necessary. And we abstract, well, we find ourselves within and behind the obvious, really. The obvious is what we deal with all the time, but we are a unit of consciousness and really a being in the one being. So we go behind the obvious and we meet each other in the realm of the soul-infused personality and actually in the realm of the soul. We get that feeling of connectedness and pervasiveness as we, as DK says, you know, there's a lot of trouble because people can't focus in the causal body, and so they're ineffective in their meditation, but we will do our best to meet each other from the causal perspective. And the feeling of being, you know, in the same space and really the same being, really, it grows on us. So through the imagination, at least, we'll focus at first on the higher mental plane. And, you know, if we can carry out spiritual discernment and response to group vibration and spiritual telepathy to a degree, then a plane and a state of consciousness are the same thing. And we visualize, you know, well, there's a six-pointed star in the center, and we might say that the Christ, overshadowed by Sanat Kumara, is at the very center of the six-pointed star, which involve the masters that will be working, stimulating this education area, both now and in the coming root race. And we as teachers and administrators are gathered around the circle, in a circle around that star. You know, there's Master M and KH and DK and Master Hilarion and an English master and Master R. And we are within that radiance. And it's as if we revolve in our place and face the circle of our students and friends, those who can benefit from the work of the Morya Federation and who actually go through the labor of it. It's a big labor. We imagine them gathered around us, and the stimulation reaches them so they can one day revolve upon their pedestal of light and face the other way and carry the light forward to those on the darkened path, and then the way for those others will not be so dark. And it helps for us to touch something of the spiritual triad. We can call it in a way the mind and the heart and the will of God, the planetary logos, as it works out on the cosmic physical plane. So the triad is the impersonal sphere, and we allow a gathering of energy in the area of the mental unit, where, you know, we focus our thought usually on the fourth subplane of the mental plane. And it's as if we extract from the knowledge petals the soul light, and we bring it around the mental unit. And we extract that soul love energy from the love petals and bring it into that area of contained energies around the mental unit. And we touch upon the opening sacrifice petals. The petals connected with the mental plane. If we were third degree initiates, then they would be completely open, but we can extract some of this sacrificial mental will. Just visualize it. And that will, that sacrificial will, goes into that area of retained energies around the mental unit. And slowly, as the initiations pass, the synthesis petals are opening up, one for each, to a degree, for each of the first three initiations. And we're told you can't really be a member of the new esoteric schools without a developing sense of synthesis. So we extract something of this sense of synthesis from the opening synthesis petals. And finally, even the jewel in the lotus is mentioned as providing its energies for the retained pool of energies in the area surrounding the mental unit. So here we have the monad in extension, sevenfold with 8 radiations. And there is somehow the divine will as it expresses on the higher mental plane. And we absorb those two. So to a degree, we are all soul-infusing personalities to a degree. We visualize the bridge of many colored lights connecting the astral body with the Buddhic plane and passing through this area of retained energies on the fourth subplane of the mental plane. And really imaginatively, this bridge is, you know, it would extend to all of the triadal permanent atoms, even though they're really out of range in terms of the powers associated with them, but extending all the way, at least imaginatively, towards the monad. with its powerful sense of oneness. And whatever our soul color may be, or our personality color, it may be there. You know how it goes. Red, indigo, green, yellow, orange, rose, violet. But it's the indigo that colors the bridge for us at this time. And we'll use the word of power of the second ray, projecting along the bridge with I see the greatest light. And we can imagine that our projection will be met by an evocative response from the higher areas of consciousness. From the abstract mind, the intuition, pure reason, the spiritual will, and finally, you know, the divine will. It will be met. So we will sound 3 times the Om, and inwardly we will say as a group, I see the greatest light. The outward Om, and I see the greatest light. We try to provide a group aura that is sensitive to impression from the areas where the plan, the divine plan, is received and sent forth. So perhaps some degree of wisdom, some power of will in the group and individual sense will descend upon us, some realizations, and we, having this at least imaginative alignment together, we open ourselves and as a group to the idea of the one fundamental school of occultism in Shambhala. It's truly a center of unfettered enlightenment. And we attempt to sense the presence of Sanat Kumara behind all this as the greatest example of the teaching ray on our planet and at the center of that part of Shambhala that works out on the cosmic physical plane. So some tiny strand of that unbearable light, you know, which is pure darkness to us, something of that is what we're trying to get into the world at this time when people have to know about hierarchy and the Christ and the ageless wisdom. So a great teaching is coming forth from the heights of our planetary chain and beyond. And we are trying to, together, represent it in some useful manner, some reasonable manner. Now think of the 4 great schools, which are branches of this one fundamental school of occultism in Shambhala. As he says, branches of one stupendous university. The Trans-Himalayan branch, it's serving the 1st and 4th and 5th subraces of the Aryan race. That is the branch to which we adhere. And probably we are most familiar with the masters associated particularly with that branch. And we think of the Southern Indian branch. Maybe we don't know so much of the masters connected with that branch, but you know, in the autobiography of a yogi, maybe some of that is given. And they serve the 2nd and 3rd sub-races of the 5th root race. And we think about the 4th root race branch with 2 4th root race adepts at the head, probably, you know, in the Far East. And we think ahead to the time that there will be forming another branch as part of the ageless wisdom training for the 6th root race in a place not yet disclosed. We do learn that Master Hilarion and Master Rakosi are somehow involved in that. So there are 4 great branches of the one fundamental school. And the Christ is the head of the hierarchy. He is in touch with all of this. And since so many of us are involved in the business of education, you know, we descend in our consciousness and we as if imagine the Christ and the great teacher. A DK, actually, I ran into it, he called the Christ, quote, my master. Very interesting. And we offer our pledge to the Christ that we'll do all we can to facilitate his reappearance and the upliftment of humanity under his guidance. And we realize that the emerging new schools, no matter how many centuries it may take, can contribute to the success of his mission over a 2,000-year period during the Aquarian Age. What we're working for will, you know, present its own candidates for initiation, either to the Christ or to the one initiator. So it's a very big thing in an esoteric way. And, you know, we're just at the early stages here. So we make that pledge to the Christ. And of course, the influence continues, you know, from the one fundamental school to the 4 branches, one of which, you know, still has basic formation ahead of it, and to the Christ, the world teacher, and to the different masters associated that I mentioned in the education process, and out into the world of prospective students, because so many need to be educated along these lines, because the destiny of humanity is childishly presented, or presented in a very depressing manner. We have another story to tell, a necessary story, and part of the great spiritual propagation of ideas along the secondary line. So, you know, for this life at least, so many of us are deeply involved here in propagating the ageless wisdom. Propaganda, propagation, it's all the same. We propel the ideas forward so as to change the consciousness and the sense of expectation in those human beings who have come far enough along the path to be open to the possibility. you'll always have the opportunity, always, if you're alert, to propagate the energies, the ideas associated with the ageless wisdom, with the hierarchy, with the Christ. It may take some courage and some skill in action, but you'll always find the opportunities. Now, this is all well planned. The number 14 is very important. Basically, it all comes from the 7 major stars of the Great Bear and the 7 major stars of the Little Bear, the Father and the Son, as it were, not to mention the jewel box of the Pleiades. But the number is 14. And I wouldn't be surprised that many of us associated here with the Federation and intensively with the ageless wisdom will be involved, no matter what country we may be born in bringing forward some experiments along these lines. Now, when we think about the preparatory schools, they have to be as good as a good university. And I suppose they have to teach many of those subjects from an esoteric point of view. So just use your imagination for a minute. They're all ray schools, and we could discuss, what rays are involved, but that's for another time, I think. The preparatory schools, just use your geographical imagination. Greece or Syria, the Midwest of the United States, southern France, Scotland or Wales, Sweden, where work is already being done, New Zealand, where there also has been a strong stimulation, and finally, Japan. Over the centuries to come, these countries will produce preparatory universities, esoteric schools, a very thorough education of a higher type, plus the esoteric component, utterly necessary in this context. And of course, they are paired with the advanced schools. We can't really talk so much about the advanced schools, but there's been activity in the area where advanced schools will appear. It's not rigid. It just depends on the background of the students, and maybe some of them can accomplish in 1 year what others would take 5, 6, 7 years to do. So the teachers and the master behind have to be very alert and very perceptive about the movement pattern from preparatory to advanced where it is possible. So the advanced schools, a very occult school in Egypt, a lot of first ray and fourth ray there, paired with the Greece or Syrian school. You certainly see how things have to settle down before this is possible. The advanced school in the mountains of California paired with the Midwestern school. That will be a very radiant school, you know, probably a lot of, well, sixth ray, second ray. The advanced school in Italy, the school of the Mahachohan, paired with southern France. The advanced school in Ireland, the school of the Bodhisattva, paired with Scotland or Wales. It's probably the, you know, preeminent second ray school. The advanced school in Russia paired with Sweden. One has to think of it, I think, in terms of the seventh ray. The advanced school in Australia paired with New Zealand. Both countries may have the second ray soul, but it's probably a different school, ray. Very ancient land, and, you know, a lot of base of the spine energy. And finally, the advanced school in Western China. He foresaw, I think, it's really Tibet, and paired with the Japanese school. That's the network that it will take centuries to establish. You've seen the diagrams. 24 students, 3 teachers, if you can call them teachers, esoteric guides, and the master behind. And that's the program that we're working for over the centuries. So that in addition to the Masonic organism and the church organism, the banded esoteric organisms may be forthcoming. A very big job. So our work in the Federation is to foresee the synthesis of all this And by aligning ourselves with a number of masters, but Master M's synthetic vibration, we look ahead to promoting the thought form of the wholeness of the esoteric 14. And every country eventually, of any kind of development, will have its esoteric school that is also mentioned. So it's hard to say that it's not part of the divine plan, the work that we're doing. Slow, it seems. But there's a lot of resistance still in this cross-current age of Pisces versus Aquarius. And by the end of this century, the sixth ray and Piscean energies will be very largely lifted. And the way will be more clear. So just think for a moment of yourself in relation to all this and in relation to the group that's trying to bring it forward. A few moments of what you're doing. What really are you doing? And your pledge, you know, which seed group or seed groups are you with, really? From your soul perspective, in these new schools, of course, all the seed group areas do get covered. But perhaps there's the main educational effort that embraces so many things. Humanity needs to be educated along these lines somehow. And, you know, it's good to have a commitment. Of course, our commitment is to our soul, the solar angel. Our commitment is to the hierarchy as the great ashram of Sanat Kumara and to the Christ. And our commitment is to the will, divine will, and maybe specifically to see through certain ways of really cooperating with the plan. So internally, whatever commitment you want to make, however you want to do it, reaffirming your usefulness to the plan in specific ways. And of course, it's between you and the inner parts of yourself and the supervising deities, the time equation, the degree of intensity, your own progress. It's all up to you. And your group progress, our group progress together, that can facilitate the individual progress and the general usefulness to the plan. So we will, aligned with all these sources, revolve upon our pedestal, blessing our students, blessing the world, lifting the consciousness of humanity the best we can. Sending the light, the love, the purpose, the will forward. And seeing the consciousness irradiated by these higher energies. And so, with solidarity with each other and with our higher sources of inspiration, we, in the attitude of blessing the world, will sound the great invocation together, pausing between the verses. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men, let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve.